So Fortnite's OG mode has been out for a couple months now, and I think most of us can agree that it's pretty good. While at launch, there definitely were some problems, namely the absolute sweat fest that was day one. Over the course of time, the problems have slowly ironed themselves out, and overall, the mode is actually pretty fun now. I've always kind of thought, though, that OG being released at the same time as Chapter 6 Season 1 wasn't exactly the greatest thing. And I say that because Chapter 6 Season 1 wasn't actually a bad season, not even close in my books at least. The only complaint I really had with the season was the shotguns, which were just completely useless. I swear to God, if you weren't shoving the barrel down the other guy's throat, your shotgun was hitting for like 35. The only alright shotgun this season for me was the Oni, and kill me if you want for that, but I could just never really do good damage with the Sentinel pump. Anyways, to get to the point of this video, I actually ended up preferring OG to regular BR, and I think you'll find it especially interesting that I'm saying this as someone who started to actually play the game in Chapter 3 Season 1. I'm not an OG by any shot. Yes, I did play a few matches here or there of Season 4 and so on, but overall never consistently. That's because when I was like 11, the game popped off, and my parents were those parents who didn't let their kids play shooters because they were subscribed to the whole video games cause violence theory. Sorry, mom and dad, if you're watching this for ripping you, but like, come on, if video games cause violence, then so do movies and music. How I managed to play a couple matches during that time, though, was because I was such a bad kid. When I was home by myself, I would download Fortnite on the PS4, and then when they came back, I would delete it. I know, just give me my Master Stealth Award now. Anyways, that's why I'm not an OG, but to get back to the actual point of this video, I want to talk about why I, as someone who's not an OG, prefers OG to the current season. I want to start by repeating that I don't think Chapter 6 Season 1 was bad by any shot. It was probably the best launch season since Chapter 3, and one of the best recent seasons in general. To be fair though, we did just suffer through Chapter 5, so really anything was better at that point. Chapter 6 Season 1 was a fun season. You had the new map, which was massive. All the new POIs, new hit scan weapons, the masks, and of course, Seaport City, the best POI this season. One of my favorite things about this season was how they handled the return of hit scan weapons. Epic learned after the abysmal time that was Chapter 5 that projectile-based weapons had no place in Fortnite other than snipers. At the end of the day, Fortnite was built on hit scan weapons, and that hadn't changed for 6 years. So completely changing the game's gunplay mechanics after that long is just stupid. The only thing though is that as the game has aged, hit scan weapons have become increasingly annoying. The main factor in this is that rotating has become extremely difficult because it seems like anytime you try to rotate, you get beamed instantly for like 75 or something. Launch pads probably haven't come back to regular BR for so long because they're just unusable now. People are just able to beam you out of the air with ease. It's not even funny. So what Epic did was introduce the Ender Pearl to Fortnite, which is actually called the Void Oni Mask. This thing solved the beaming crisis because now, instead of having to actually move between point A and point B, you could just teleport with the mask. It sounds overpowered on paper, but with the limitations it has and the sweet relief it grants from getting beamed, teleporting is actually a really fair mechanic in Fortnite now. Okay, enough about Chapter 6 Season 1. Let's talk about OG. I just wanted to sing Chapter 6's praises there for a second because I feel like without that, this video would sound more like me shitting on anything fun, which is not my intention at all. With that out of the way, why is it that I prefer OG to regular BR? Well, it's actually really simple. The gameplay just feels more rewarding to me. What you get with OG as opposed to regular BR is a simpler, much more grounded and rewarding experience. In OG, you have to be better than your opponent to win a fight. There's no denying that in regular BR, one of the best strategies is basically just run away. Whether that be through items or cars or whatever, running away is a possible and good strategy in any fight within the first 15 minutes of the game. With OG though, you're forced into that situation. There is no helping item that can save you from someone better than you. You actually have to try and outplay them to win. And even though you may lose many times in those situations, there is absolutely no better feeling in this game than coming out on top in those situations. To know that you beat someone better than you with no bullshit, just pure skill and tactics is such a rewarding and fulfilling experience. The only thing that I'd say comes close to being a saving item is the double pump, but even then, it's not that overpowered once you see it in action. As long as you build a wall, it's impossible for you to get double pumped. Speaking of double pump, the loot pool is also another contributing factor as to why I prefer OG over regular BR. Especially in Season 1 of OG, there just weren't that many items, which means it never felt like you couldn't use everything you wanted to. Another unique factor of Season 1 OG was the lack of minis. By playing OG, I really saw just how much minis changed the gameplay. There were only big pots in Season 1, and for a while there, they were rare, which meant you were rarely ever on full shield. In fact, it was really common for a decent amount of time for you to have no shield for the entire game. This actually made fights so much more intense too, because literally one shot from a gray pump would be enough to kill you. Most weapons only came in gray to blue rarity, with the pump only going up to green. So if you didn't play during Season 1 of OG, you will never know the sheer power you felt if you had green double pump, or if you even had a single big pot to spare. The last main point I'd like to bring up is that OG was and still is kinda difficult. Because of the previously mentioned lack of shield and powerful weapons, it really felt like OG was a completely different breed of Fortnite. It was hard to win, and while it has gotten easier since then, it's still difficult nonetheless. Nothing can ever compare to day one of OG though. No skill-based matchmaking and no bots meant it was just a complete sweat fest non-stop. If you won a game of OG on day one, you should be extremely proud of that. Thankfully, OG stopped being only FNCS lobbies and added skill-based matchmaking after a couple days, and very much unthankfully added bots too. If you want to know just how hard OG was at the start though, it took me over 200 games to finally win a match. I'm not sweaty, but I'm competitive. I like to try and win, but I don't forgo showering to do so, you know? And I feel like OG perfectly caters to my type of playing. Not over the top, no life level sweating, but also not so dumbed down and handholdy that even a 3-year-old could get a dub. It strikes a perfect balance between the two, where I guess you could kinda call it competitive BR. A BR mode with all the over the top bells and whistles removed so that it's just skill and tactics with a couple of complementary items on the side to make life a bit easier. The lack of shield and the low amount of guns available combined with the difficulty of fights being based purely on skill creates this incredible Fortnite experience that you just can't get anywhere else. I actually played season 1 of OG so much that I hit elite and ranked for the first time ever. Now that might have been partly because I got carried a bit by one of my friends, but I felt like I'd actually earned that rank. Like I said before, it took me over 200 matches to win once, and I remember so many of those I was so close. I don't think any Fortnite mode could ever elicit the same feeling that those close matches had. Final 3, sometimes maybe Final 2, literally hundreds of matches deep, knowing that this could finally be the one I win. I'm protected by wood builds, but I have no shield. My heart's just pounding, partly because I'm so close to finally winning, but also because I know that one mistake is enough to get me one pump back to the lobby again, like has happened so many times before. Nothing, and I mean nothing in Fortnite will ever be able to get that out of me ever again. I want to reiterate that Chapter 6 isn't bad, but to me, OG is just better. It feels more tailored towards how I like to play Fortnite. Competitive with a little bit of fun on the side. And if you disagree and prefer regular BR over OG, then so be it. That's completely fine. You're allowed to enjoy what you want. I just wanted to share why I enjoy OG more. And actually, on the topic of that, what do you like more? Do you like regular BR more, or do you like OG more? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear why. And with that, that's about it. So I'll see you in the next one, okay?